mashing it. This is mashed garlic. Okay, nice culinary technique so you don't have big pieces of garlic and so you get all those volatile oils exposed. You can pick it all up and scrape it right into a bowl as part of your mise en place. And so you slice through it with the tip of the knife to get it started, and then you go ahead and grind it into the board. Now I'm demonstrating a hot chili pepper. This happens to be a jalapeno pepper. Now I want to cut out the seeds and that white membrane, so I'm cutting it in quarter. So this way the inside of the pepper is exposed and I can run my knife lengthwise across the center of it to slice out the white membrane. Okay, I'm scraping everything right into a sink there, and I'm cutting down on those quarter lengths of jalapeno and to make a nice julienne. And now I'm going to make a fine mince by just gathering a julienne and doing my standard rocking motion with the center of the blade doing all the work and the tip of the blade staying stationary and my fingers of my non-knife hand guiding it along. Alright, so now this is ginger. I'd like to show you ginger because it's confusing. You can peel it with a ginger peeler or press and that kind of thing, but I pare it down the same way I did the orange, the pineapple, the mango. You have a little bit of waste because it's kind of knobby, so you're just cutting through that ginger, but that's alright. You're talking pennies here, and you just kind of shave it as best you can, and you can perhaps make a tea with some of those pairings if you'd like. So then I go and I clean it up, look for all the skin, kind of just shave it off. And so now I have a peeled piece of ginger root that I will proceed to chop. I always keep my knives tuned up. Okay, 22.5-degree angle. I start with the heel of the knife, the tip of the steel, and I end up at the base of the steel with the tip of the knife applying a little bit of pressure. I cut the ginger in half so it lays flat on the board, easy to cut, and then I just kind of slice through it lengthwise. Now I could gather up all my slices and I can just do that rocking motion and start the chopping process. It's very fibrous, so I don't really like the term mashed ginger because you can't really mash ginger. It's too fibrous. It's not like garlic. So you just keep on chopping it, mincing it, and call it finely chopped ginger. I think you do want to get it pretty small to spread the wealth, because you think of some of these very aromatic, flavorful types of vegetables, garlic and ginger, you don't put that much into it, so you want to spread the wealth. So you have to chop it small so a lot of pieces get around and do a lot of different things. And also you don't want to have big clumps of ginger in your mouth or between your teeth. So once you get it chopped fine enough, go ahead and put it away into a bowl, and that's it. You can see how that works. Now we're going to do some fruit, and I just want to show you a technique on this pineapple. Sometimes if the leaves are brown, we could kind of shave them off, and this way we could have a nice cone, or the top of the pineapple shaped conical, where I can actually use it as decoration, add some green, add some dimension, add some brilliance to whatever I'm making. In this case, I'll put together a little bit of a fruit platter, and how you do that. And you have to have a sharp knife, and you have to approach it with the right angle. So I have a nice cone-shaped pineapple top, and I cut it off. I don't cut it too close to the base of the cone because it will just come right out of there. So you need a piece of the pineapple to actually stand it up. Now here it's very important cut. I have to guess on the first cut, but what I'm doing is I'm going with the natural shape of the pineapple, and I'm starting on an angle, and I'm going with the contour of the pineapple by bringing the knife down and around and seeing how I go and bending the knife back in for underneath. I'm cutting just inside the brown eyes of the pineapple, okay? And I'm using the brown eyes and the yellow part of the pineapple as my marker, okay? and so it's kind of oval. It's not straight cut down because you'll waste a lot of the pineapple. And so I have a nice shape here, and the skin is removed. There's very minimal brown eyes of the pineapple showing. I cut it in half, lay it flat. If I have too much eyes, those brown eyes showing, I'll get rid of them. And then I could cut it in quarters, lengthwise. And this way it's easy for me to cut out the pineapple core, which I did on that 1/4. Same thing with this. I see where the core meets the nice palatable meat of the pineapple, and I cut it off. And then and that's a good way to clean a pineapple, and that's a great way to pare almost any fruit. I will do that on the orange and some other fruit. And now I can lay each core down, and I'm trying to keep it cut in its natural form, the way it lays, because then I could just put it right onto the platter in a kind of a domino effect, or just the way it lays naturally. So I drag my knife through it and try to keep the knife from pulling the pineapple away. The orange I'm peeling in the same manner. We're paring down the orange. I'm guessing on the first one, I'm starting on an angle and then going around the contour of the orange shape, coming in to get it off the bottom, the skin off the bottom, and I'm using where the white meets the orange as my guideline. That's my line, and that's what I follow with my knife, where the white meets the orange. And see how I just start on an angle and make the turn to the natural shape of the orange and get it all off. And this is all compost, by the way. And then I could cut nice pinwheels. This is a seedless navel orange, and so it's 100% edible. You have a little bit of white membrane there, and if it gets too slippery and small, especially it does with wearing gloves, you can lay the orange flat and then just kind of slice, holding the top. And this is the way the orange lays naturally, and I could pick that up with my knife and put that on my fruit platter. Okay, so I don't have to rearrange. Let it, the way it falls off the knife is the way it should lay on the platter. See, when I peel this orange, I want to guess to peel just enough to expose the flesh or the meat of the orange. Here I'm taking a little bit more off, you know, because I guessed that I needed to take more off because it was showing too much white. I guess on the first one, and then see that angle? It's a pretty strong angle. This is a very important knife technique that you must master because it's used for paring many different fruits and some vegetables. Lemons, pineapple, cantaloupe, honeydew, watermelon, so big and small. All right, it's a good way to pare it. Pare down the fruit whole. You can do this in advance, and then it's easier to make your cuts once you have it pared down into how you want to do it. You want to slice it, dice it. You could designate the angle of the bias, and which is going to dictate the length of the slices. Now here, I could take a pared orange and then just cut out the supreme, just the fillets, just the part in between the white membranes of the orange. And have a sharp knife, because otherwise something this juicy, you have a tendency to make mush. You could start squeezing out the juice. So I'm sharpening the knife, the 22.5-degree angle, really putting a little bit of pressure on that steel with the knife so I could kind of hear it. Okay, and that aligns the blade, hones it up, and so it starts to cut very sharp. And I make nice supremes. I cut in between each section. Cut right next to that white membrane that's on the orange. Sometimes you have to go in, up, and around. And look at that. Nice sections. Beautiful for a salad, beautiful for a fruit cup. And take out every section. And this is very, in French, what we call soigné. Very clean, only the best part, the supreme. Sometimes the chicken breast is called the supreme de volaille. So this is the supreme, and the supreme of the orange, the supreme part. And let's look at that juice. See, now I'm squeezing the core to freshen up my orange sections and my orange pinwheel. Now you could squeeze that into a cup and you could drink it. That can be your bonus for doing all that hard and fancy work. So anyway, don't waste that juice. Don't just throw it in the trash or the compost. Look at all that juice just drip out. So I'm freshening the platter. Now this is a mango. And I do the same technique. I'm cutting just enough away to expose the top of the pit of the mango so I could see which way the pit lays. And you can see it's an oblong and it's got some length one way. I'm showing you it goes this way. So the bigger fillets of the orange are on the flatter side of the pit. But again, first off, I have to peel it. I start with a huge angle into the skin and then turn the knife with the mango. So I've demonstrated several different fruit, and I am showing you this technique because it's just really important, and it shows that you have the proper knife skills. I'm moving away the debris or the skins with my knife as they fall off, and I'm turning that knife in to make sure I get the skin all the way underneath the mango. And I'm using the yellow part of the mango and this where it meets the skin as my line. That's how I know where to cut. The first slice is always a guess. Now I'm cutting, it's not really straight. I'm kind of bending the knife in because I want to actually ride that pit so I have minimal waste. You can see a little bit of the white pit showing, and I cut off a whole fillet. See that white pit showing there? And that's a fillet. That's the best side. You can't cut on the, we'll show you when I take off what I call the flanks. Now, because with the gloves and mango is so slippery, I can't stand up to cut off the other side fillet. So I'm going to lay it flat. I'm going to palm hold this mango half, and I'm going to bend my knife down into the pit to make sure I'm riding the pit, that I'm maximizing the yield. I'm getting most of the fillet off. See how I did that? And now I'm taking the flank off, okay, the sides. There's not much there because the pit's in the way, see? And I'm keeping that knife faced in, so I'm riding the pit. Eventually my knife cuts are gonna show the shape of the pit. There we go. Now there you have an oblong pit. Sure, there's some mango flesh on there, but it's a pretty clean job. And this pineapple core, mango pit, that could be boiled inside a teriyaki sauce or even a tea, which some of the Asian cultures have a tendency to do to avoid waste. So they're not really palatable because you get the fibrous tissue of the fruit inside of your teeth with the pineapple and the mango core. You could kind of suck on it, you could chew on it, but it's best boiled and infused into something, like I said, a tea or a teriyaki sauce. Now I'm cutting nice slices with just the tip of the knife, the skinny part of the knife, and this way the mango stays in its original pattern, the way it falls off the knife naturally. I don't have to rearrange it. I could pick it up and then just lay it on the platter, just as so, and push it down with the palm of my hand to kind of show, to kind of give it some proper dimension. I take these outside flanks and I cut them in half, and they're still good. Don't waste them, and you can kind of bury them in the platter too. So, again, I'm Jeff Trombetta, Professor of Culinary Arts. Now, I hope you have learned from the video that you have just seen. Okay, there were some very important knife cutting techniques and size of the vegetables and fruit that I cut and the way I displayed them. You have to watch the way I positioned the vegetables. You have to watch the way I held the knife. And you have to watch the motion, how I constantly make a balance between pushing and slicing the knife. It's those two motions. It's a pushing down and it's a slicing across and letting the blade do the work. And you will look like a professional when you learn those skills, and play the rerun because it's going to help you tremendously.